retail investors are BTD. They're buying the dip.
At the same time, record numbers are selling right now.
They're selling the dip?
So here's how we're looking at this insane stock market.
And it involves a time machine. But Jack, can you please share the Warren Buffett quote that made Warren Buffett Warren Buffett?
It's fantastic investing advice. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful.
Well, right now, others seem to be fearful because stocks have plummeted because of stock selling.
The stock chart right now looks as red as Ron Weasley. Doesn't matter what stock you're looking at.
But according to the data, people are also being greedy right now because there's a whole lot of stock buying.
According to the data, there have been a record number of people snagging up stocks on the market right now like they were on the sale rack.
Get this. According to JP Morgan, regular old retail investors like you and us had our biggest day of buying stocks in over a decade.
Retail investors are non-professional investors, basically anyone with a Robinhood account. And collectively, we bought $4.7 billion of stock on Thursday.
It was the biggest retail stock buying day in over 10 years for your buddy Timmy. That's the way to think about it.
And the reason that's wild is the timing. Because on Thursday, stocks fell 5%. It was right after Trump's big Liberation Day news.
It was like stocks were on the sale rack, snagging a deal. It's like the whole stock market was a cute top at J. Crew, 20% off. Come and get them, people. Come and get them.
Or at least that's what retail investors felt when they bought the dip on Thursday.
But so far, we should point out, buying Thursday's dip was a little bit of a mistake.
Because stocks fell another 6% on Friday. And we don't have the data yet, but there were a lot of people who probably tried to buy Friday's dip too.
Well, that was also kind of a little bit of a mistake because
stocks fell Monday as well. So buying the dip has not been working so far.
Yeah, you've been binging on the dip. You may want to lay off the dip for a little bit.
Now, we should sprinkle on some context. We just had the worst stock drop since the pandemic. But how bad has it been, Nick?
Well, Yetis, when stocks drop, Jack and I don't pull out a calculator. We pull out a calendar.
Here are the last 3 stock market crashes and how far they crashed each time.
All right, Jack, whip out that calendar. What are we seeing, man?
The most recent stock market crash was the pandemic. In February and March of 2020, stocks fell 33% from their highest point to their lowest point.
And that was scary.
How about the dot-com bust of 1999? Stocks fell 49% during that period.
That was scarier.
And the 2008 financial crisis and the Great Recession that followed, stocks fell 56% from their highest point to the lowest point.
And that was the scariest.
So historically speaking, Trump's trade war crash is kind of tiny.
We're looking at the numbers from the last week, and from their peak to their trough, stocks have now fallen just 17%. That's like half as much as the other big stock drops.
So if you're buying the dip right now, you don't think Trump's trade war is nearly as bad as the pandemic, the dot-com bust, or the financial crisis.
Yeah, you don't think it's nearly as bad as those previous crashes, like 50% drops.
So maybe you don't think this trade war is in the same category as the pandemic, the dot-com bust, and the financial crisis. If that's what you believe, then maybe this is the bottom. Stocks will go up from here.
Maybe you're not just buying the dip, maybe you're binging the dip right now.
But we've found that timing the market is nearly impossible. It's best to just invest for the long term and stop trying to buy dips.
The amount of times I've called Jack and said, we just bought at the perfect point, and then I was so wrong 2 weeks later.
Instead, Nick and I invest each time we get a paycheck. Regardless of the timing, we put money in the market, and long term it goes up. But a lot of you are probably thinking about selling right now, too.
And for that,
because of all the fear out there,
we have a takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies who are BTD or STD? You know what? I didn't really think about it, but I said it.
The best way to look at the stock market right now is to get in a time machine.
Yetis, another way to think about this stock market crash, the S&P 500 today is at the same place it was exactly 1 year ago.
Stocks are down 17% from their February all-time highs, but stock levels are at the same point as 1 year ago.
Yeah, and Jack, back in April 2024, when stocks were at the same level they are right now, what were people saying?
We were saying that stocks were looking fantastic.
Because in April 2024, we were celebrating that stocks were at all-time highs.
Now we're back at that same point. But unlike last year, we're not celebrating. Right now, we're all fearful.
But Bessies, this time travel experiment, this shows why we shouldn't panic right now.
Instead, we should zoom out of this week's stock market chaos and see that stocks historically rise.
Yeah, there are drops along the way, but over time, stocks have always risen.
It feels like the stock market is horrible right now. but it's actually just back to where it was in April of 2024.
And that's why the best way to look at the stock market is to get in a time machine.